Hello, everyone, and welcome to Pull Up a Sandbag, which is our session on Three Coaches, One Topic, where we focus on men's well-being. And today I am super excited because it feels like months trying to get this together to get Mason and Michael in the same room as me. So I'm very, very happy. And I know this conversation is just going to open a lot of doors and a lot of sharing. So what I'll do to start off with, I'll hand you over to Michael so he can tell you a little bit about himself and where he's calling in from. Over to you, Michael.
Thank you very much, Donna. My name is Michael Earle. I'm a wellbeing consultant, so I run my own wellbeing consultancy, and I've done that for the past 7 years. My background is social care, so I've been a child care social worker frontline for 13 years. And I presently work for a mental health charity here in Bristol, where I'm calling in from. I'm called Nilari. We're a culturally based mental health charity. And I'm one of the team that work specifically with men, but not only with men, but that's my main focus. And I'm really into my well-being, and I've recently become a Nordic walking certified instructor as well. So that's me in a nutshell, but there'll be more as we go in the conversation.
Woohoo! And I saw that, and congratulations, well done. And you're doing this 10K a day challenge, which is fantastic. Yeah, not 10K. 10,000
steps, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, that's a 10K a day. I was like, that's...
Oh, no, I would not be here if I was doing 10K a day.
Impressive.
He's good, but he's not
that good.
Good. Thank you for joining us, Michael. Mason, welcome to the first time, and please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thanks for having me. I'm Mason. I'm a men's spiritual connection coach, which ultimately means I help men discover a deeper purpose and meaning to life. I usually work with men that have achieved a lot in the physical realm. I mean, the money, the house, the cars, and there's still an empty void that they've yet to fill. So that's where I come in. My own personal background has been a bit of a checkered one, from somebody that was in trouble with the police a lot as a kid, jail, professional athlete, startup founder, worked for one of the world's biggest companies. It wasn't for me. And then through my own challenges, a coach that I was working with said, you can coach. So that was about 7-8 years. And since then, I've started coaching. First, I started working with men and women, but my calling has always been with men. I can build a stronger rapport, and it's just a space that I love being in. I worked in corporate wellness for 6.5 years, but the red tape and all the hierarchical structure kind of forced me to retreat from that and kind of just focus where my passion is in working with the individuals outside of the workplace. So that's me in a nutshell. At the moment, I'm in London, but I am based out in Singapore and Bali. And funny enough, I know that you're in Dubai. I'm actually just launching a retreat company that takes men from Dubai to Bali.
All right.
Yeah, but we'll talk about
I was going to say, let's have a chat afterwards. Awesome.
Amazing.
No, that's really good. And can I just say, and I mean this genuinely, and I know that you guys will resonate with this. When you meet people and you start following them on LinkedIn and Instagram and stuff like that, and you like their posts and what have you, you two are so genuine. I really do stop and listen to your posts, and they are so enlightening, so thoughtful. So I just really want to say thank you for that. And I know sometimes you do posts for men, which obviously I'm not, but I do really, really like them, and I pass them on to my boys. So thank you both so much for that, because there's so much crap out there. So
true.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, me. So I am the founder of Joy and Purpose Coaching, which focuses on parents, which I love, being a single parent and having worked in education for 26 years, from Montessori to secondary learning support. About 3 years ago, I became a coach, and So whilst I'm focusing on parents, I also run a coaching community here in Dubai, which I'm just in the process of going into a partnership, and it will be going international. And that is going to be open to coaches that want to collaborate with others, who want to support each other, who want to do events together, who wants to learn from different modalities. And so it's very, very exciting, but it is for coaches who want to be professional and move on as a community. So that's me. Right, let's get on to today's subject, because I can't wait to hear your insights. So our topic today is the evolving man, navigating identity in the changing world. What I would like to throw out, so if we're exploring how modern men are redefining their strength and vulnerability, how have you seen the changes within yourselves with this?
So I go. It's myself personally, because I have been doing this work for a while. It kind of gave me permission to share openly about how I felt, and through my own struggles, I know that keeping things to myself was the thing that took me into a darker place than I needed to go. Having to have this brave face that I was constantly putting on for far too long. And with the conversation being more open to have, it's created more permission, my personal experience, more permission for me to speak up. And what I recognized off the back of that is how many men were reaching out to me and saying, I really needed to hear this. And because of my background, because I've been in such an alpha dominated role, professional fighter for so long, being in gangs, it's like, oh, this guy is talking about his emotions. That means it must be okay. And it's been beautiful to kind of see the acceptance of men being able to share more and more openly. I do have something that might contradict everything I've just said, but I'll save that bit for after Michael speaks.
I love contradictions. Life is full of contradictions. Once you know better, you do better, and so forth. Yeah. So yeah, Michael, tell us.
Yeah, thanks for that, Mason. I wanted you to go first because I wanted to hear what you were going to say, because I mean, I know that's your area. For me, I have really enjoyed that there is now more acceptance for men to express their emotions, as you're saying, because as before, sort of 20, 30 years ago, it just wasn't the done thing. You were looked at as being weak, and it was the sort of, pull your socks up, pull yourself together, get on with it, man up situation. But now, because men, I think, have more license to actually say, well, actually, no, this is how I'm feeling, and start to talk feelings and emotions, and it's not being brushed aside anymore. But I still think with some of the men that I'm working with, there's still a there's still a bit of a problem. And I said black because they're black Caribbean, black African. And so from that culture, there's still this stigma about, talking about your feelings and emotions. But we are getting there. We are making a lot more progress. And it needs to be done because, as Mason, I'm sure, knows, and yourself, Donna, men committing suicide, that rate is still going up. It's not going down, it's still going up. So there's still an issue there. And one of the pathways in is allowing men to feel that, they can talk about things rather than keeping it all bottled up and acting. And we know that when they act, they are, it's very like, well, this is it. This is what I'm going to do. And they go for it. So having that license now to talk and be accepted to talk about emotions, I think it's a massive step forward, and it needs to be, encouraged.
Yeah. So what do you think when did it shift?
I think it's been a gradual thing. Personally, I've only noticed it in the last 5 to 6 years, and that's still quite ahead of time for many of the people that are getting onto it now. I think it was suicide is still the biggest life killer for men under 50. It's ridiculous. It's like 4 people a day, if not more than that, 4 men a day. And that's just in the UK. So it still is a big issue. And yeah, I know from experience as well about the Black Caribbean and African cultures that there is still a lot of stigma, but that's more of a generational thing. I think the younger generation are starting to see the value and the benefit of speaking up. But to answer your question, Donna, we're still only there. What I've recognized over the years as well is that I'm still trapped in an echo chamber of people doing the work on themselves. My friends are coaches, or my friends are doing the work on themselves and trying to heal and everything else. There is still a vast amount of men out there that don't have access to this. They are still the bricklayers. They are still people in these environments that aren't allowing themselves to actually be exposed to this open conversation. So it is still quite new, but the shift has started.
Yeah. Well, can I just pick up an interesting point there? So do you think that you've noticed the shift when you started to work on yourself and surround yourself with people that are interested in their personal development? If you hadn't have done that, do you think you would have still been in that bubble?
Probably. It's like that saying, if you go out and bought a red Mercedes, as soon as you go drive off, you're going to see loads of red Mercedes. Yeah. Whereas before you didn't, it's sort of like, oh, this is like it's on my radar. You know, when something is in my field, it's like, but now, because I have been doing this work for a while, my whole, I guess, MO is trying to make what I do accessible to those that aren't in my field, without trying to communicate in a style that some people might say woo-woo or too soft or not alpha enough. That's the trick. I mean, the trick, that's the hurdle.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Do you have anything to add on that, Michael? Have you noticed the shift, or did it come from you, or was it from external?
I think, Donna, from the way I'd like to describe it is like, you know, when you're on the motorway and there's like a really big curve on the motorway, like a really big bend. It's like that, and it's like we're still in the bend. We haven't come out of the bend yet, so the motion is still turning, and it's a very, very long bend before we get into the straight narrow. So I think we're on this curve, this learning or changing curve with men's emotions and expressions. I think personally, I've always been quite an expressive male, even and I'm looking back now when I was younger and thinking about some of the things that I said or that happened to me. And I think I've always been one of those people that people have come to and spoken to. And I was always wondering, why are you talking to me? Why are you telling me everything? I mean, I'd be when I was living in London, I'd be on the bus going home and people just start talking to me. And I just trying to go home. And I'd be going, yeah, okay, all right. They just opened up. So I didn't know what that was about. But now I'm here in my 50s and I'm realizing, okay, maybe that's part of my makeup that I didn't really know. And there was one memorable, as you were all talking, there was one memorable situation where this girl broke up with me because she said, I think too much. So that was the reason. Yeah, I know. But it was really funny. He said, oh, you think too much. I don't like this. You know, you're thinking too much. So again, there was that indication that maybe I'm not your normal average, guy sort of thing. But yes, no, I can't go out with you. You think too much. And there was another girl that said, I don't go out with intelligent guys. So she didn't go out with me. She said, I only go out with stupid guys. So it was really interesting. And this is all London based. I don't know what the girls like. I don't know, but they let you know what's going on. So yeah, I've had some interesting conversations and incidents. But yeah, it's something that I'm really glad is happening, that men are starting to talk more. Because usually we talk about everything else apart from, that side, the emotional, that spiritual side of us, which is really important, and it's there. And if you ignore it, it will come out in some other way. So it has to be addressed, which is I'm really interested in hearing the work that Mason's doing. Yeah, I'm really glad to be here.
Yeah, go on, tell us, Mason. And what was your contradiction? You contradicting yourself?
Okay, so my contradiction. What's the name of those things? When the balls go to one side and it keeps.
Oh yeah. I can't remember.
I think we're in a, from my experience in the work that I do in Bali, I run one of the biggest men's groups on the island. So men come together and we chat about all the shit men don't usually talk about. And I think with the current narrative saying that men need to open up just willy-nilly, I don't think this is the case. I think there is a time and a place. For example, I know that my partner doesn't want me to come home and say how stressed I'm being. I am the backbone of my family. I know that, of course, not always the case, not always the case in every household. But I know that my partner wants me to have a bit of stoicism and to show up. Yeah, when things are bad, I'll say to her, Rooney, having a tough time. Don't worry, I'm going to go and speak to my men. I'll go to the men's group and say, lads, this is stressing me out. This, that, and then we'll just speak there. I think, yes, men should be able to understand their emotions and not suppress them. But when it comes to expressing them, I think there is a time and a place. I think there is a masculine and feminine energy that we have to know how to navigate in order to really keep the yin and yang, the balance of the world where it needs to be. Yes, some men are more in their feminine energy and some women are in their masculine. But with the way the current world is going, men are starting to get pushed to be a bit too, how can I say the word? I'm just going to say soft. And no, like, it is, I think, detrimental to where we need to go as a society. Right now, we need strong men. And for me, a strong man is somebody recognizing that he's hurting and speaking about it. You know, that for me is the epitome of strength. Somebody that is able to say, things are hard, but I'm not going to speak to you about it. I'm going to go to a professional. I'm going to be doing this, and I'm actually going to work on it. So that's where my contradiction is. It's like, yes, we should speak about it, but I think there's a time and a place for it. You know, I think as a man who identifies as in his masculine needs to really honor that to himself, because anything out of that, in my experience, what I've noticed, and it happened to me as well, when I first came away from all these really alpha dominating industries, everything that I was starting to subject myself to around, especially around spirituality, the men were very much in their feminine. And at first I liked that. Oh, there seems to be no ego. It seems to be soft. There seems to be this really safe space. But what I found in myself and the softening was that desire to build and drive and get strong, that started to go. I neglected that fitness aspect of me. I neglected the part of me that wanted to build successful businesses. There's really things that drive me as well as being able to be heart-centered. So I found myself going too far the other side, like with the ball thing. So now I was thinking, oh, this isn't me either. I didn't like being all the way over here. I didn't like being all the way over here. So let me just try and find this middle ground. And the middle ground is being able to open my heart, being able to be soft when I need to be soft, being able to recognize when something's upsetting me and keeping me down, but also having that, okay, well, I'm still going to keep that strength. I'm still going to keep that backbone. I'm still going to drive. I'm still going to support my family. And that is, I've been shot down for saying that before. I've been shot down. I remember in one of the groups that I was running, one of the men said, well, say if I just want to be a victim. I goes, you can if you want. That is your prerogative. I'm not going to tell you otherwise. But I don't think that's doing you. I think that's doing more harm than good. You know, well, I'll stop there. I'm sure there are more will come up afterwards, but that's you could tell the passion was coming up then.
That's you got to let it out.
Yeah. No, it's brilliant. I really like what you're saying, Mason, and it's true. I think for men, maybe this is just me, but I think for men, I think it seems to be a lot harder trying to find that balance. Or a term I heard reused recently was not synergy, but symphony. Because you know, with music, if you're playing a symphony, that there's different instruments in the orchestra, but they don't all play at the same level or the same time or the same beat. But when they're put together, you get the perfect sound. So they use the word symphony rather than synergy. And I think that's what it is with men. We need to sort of try and find what works for us and balancing that sort of the feminine side and the masculine side. And you're right, Mason, it is really difficult, you know, because your stereotypical male upbringing, you know, you're told to, you know, be the breadwinner, be the boss, you know, be hard and strong and go out there and make a life, make a way, make a family. And now there's this thing about, oh, but you can express yourself as well. So it's like, hang on a minute, what's going on? You just, 30 years ago, you say, so it's about trying to find that symphony, to make it work, to make it actually come together. But there's lots of different pieces to it, and it's not as straightforward as, sometimes when we talk about it, it seems it is quite complicated, and especially for men to get their heads around, the spiritual side of themselves, the emotional side, and then you've got that masculine side. Balancing all that is a lot. It is a lot.
Yeah, it's
but
very
we need
nuanced.
the masculine side, though. I mean, look, we have all the feminists. I'm not a feminist, but people saying about equal rights and all the rest. Yes, I agree to a certain extent. However, at the end of the day, if a man and a woman get married and don't have a baby, when a woman is going to have the baby, the man usually is the one who needs to step up and continue being the breadwinner and the provider and, protecting the household whilst the mother looks after the child and so forth. So whilst, yes, it's great that what both of you were saying about getting in touch with your emotions and so forth, there is a time and a place where you can say these things, and there is a time and a place where you do need to step up. And the same for the woman as well, or your partner. There's a time for us when we see you struggling, for us to convey that to you. I've got your back. You go sort yourself. Go and talk to your guys. I've got the household, or I've got the job today, or what have you. So it's about that communication.
I couldn't agree more, and I have a lovely relationship with my partner. When she sees things, she's like, I can tell. She goes, I'm here if you need me, just to know. And a while ago, I had this conversation. I spoke about the energies getting all kind of mixed up at the moment. And I had a lot of women reach out to me that goes, I 100% agree, because I said men are becoming too soft and women are becoming too hard. And some people took it out of context, like they always will, but that's fine. If I put myself out there, then I'm going to get feedback, not necessarily great feedback, but it's anyway. A lot of women said, I totally agree, but the reason why I feel like I have to be an alpha female or very much in my masculine is because the men out there aren't making me feel safe. The men aren't there. They're the rocks. They're not there. There's no men to say, hey, I've got you. I've got you emotionally. I've got you. I'll hold you. I've got you. So the women aren't getting that strong masculine figure in their lives. So that's why they're like, I don't need a man. I'm going to build my own business. And I can't argue with that. If a woman's not feeling safe or feeling heard, I can't argue with her wanting to be the man as well. So I had to even say to Mel, this is another discussion that needs to be opened up, and I couldn't agree more with them.
Can I just follow up on sorry, Michael.
No.
When you said about the woman saying that he doesn't make her feel safe, one of the things I've learned at my tender age of 52 is the fact that I can make myself feel safe, but my partner made me feel unsafe. So I think sometimes you need to get that awareness, have that strength within you to be safe in your space. But if your partner does not complement that and support that, then they're the ones that are making you feel unsafe, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, I hear that. And yeah, Mason, what you're saying, really loved what you were saying, especially about our partners. I'm very blessed to be in a relationship with my wife, Jo. It's funny, actually, we were talking this morning about feelings and emotions and stuff. And it's, she's a consultant pediatrician, so she's at the top of her tree with her work. But yet there are times, and she's I won't say a freak. She likes to be in control. Let's put it that way. Okay, she's an organizer. It's okay. I've said this to her faces. I'm not talking about her back. She knows. So she likes to be in control and stuff. But there are those moments and those times where, as a human being, as a normal person, she feels a bit uncertain, a bit unsure. And as you were saying, Mason, she would need me to say that, look, it's okay. We're going to get through this. Just someone to sort of literally back you up and make you feel safe, as we were talking about. So that is really important, even with strong, independent women, as she is a strong, independent woman. You know, there's those vulnerabilities, and every now and again, she needs to know that I'm going to be there, not to sort of come have the answers, but just to literally, physically, emotionally, just be there and say, oh yeah, I know Mike's got my back. You know, she might not physically say it or verbally say it, but she knows, you know, when if it's going to go down, Mike's going to have my back. And I want the same from her. And I tell her that, you know, I'll say, look, if we're in an argument with somebody, I need to know that you got my back, whether I'm wrong or right. I said, I just need to know you can back me. You can tell me off later, but not when in the moment. Yeah, that's another story. In the moment, I just need to know that you're going to back me, you know. And so we have these conversations, we talk about it. So I tell her what I need, and she lets me know what she needs, and so we're able to negotiate the thing. Negotiate, but you know, yeah. She talks, I listen. But yeah, silent negotiation on my front. But you know, we after a certain number of years and commitment, you get to know your partner, I'm sure, Mason, and you know how it works. But for men, and again, I think we're going into relationships. Yeah, how that works for men in relationships, I don't know. Are they willing to commit? Do they feel vulnerable by telling people how they know, how they feel? And then you were saying, Mason, about this thing. Oh, you know, you're really soft. Can't handle me. I don't need that. And they're off. And then the guys can say, but I thought you wanted to tell me how I feel. So they're left like really confused now. You know, sort of thinking, do I need to be really hard? Do I need to be really strong? You know. And again, getting the balance right. How difficult is that? Getting it right at the right time. And
I think that the point where individuals need to get to is what feels right for them, because there's so much noise out there about how we should and shouldn't be, what we should and shouldn't do, how we're supposed to act and not act. It takes us away from what authentically feels right for us. So that's the work I do. I help men do what they feels right. And once you act in a way that's in accordance to your emotions, your genetic makeup, your past, like everything else, you're very confident in the way you're showing up for yourself and the world. So yes, there sometimes feels like, am I being too strong? Am I being too whatever it is? I'll carry on.
Yeah, carry on. I'm listening.
It's all about what's doing right for you, because if somebody is being authentic, and I mean, not being a dick, if they're authentically a dick, then they need to change that. But I mean, without trying to be, I guess, coerced by the narrative out there, because if that happens, then you're never going to find out who you truly are, because every few years you're told to be a certain way. And so authenticity is the goal in how to show up.
Yeah, and it stops you from following the trends. And also, you know, I hate that word about normal. There's no such thing as normal. What's normal for me is not normal for you. So this is, you know, what you're saying, Mason, is about being authentic and what works. You know, it's about being kind, as long as your intentions are not to hurt anybody else, but to uplift, and to be assertive and rest easy with your decisions.
Yeah, absolutely. I really like that, Mason, that you said about being authentic. I know it's a term that is being used quite a lot, but you know, just being comfortable being yourself, and talking about myself, referring, you know, to Jo when I talk to her, my wife. I will let her know what is comfortable for me and what isn't. And I'll say, look, I need to tell you this, and you need to listen. So what I try and do with her is create a safe space before I tell her stuff, and say, look, this isn't about being judged. I just need you to listen to this. So we understand. So we talked about the safe space thing, and we can do that. So then I get her attention, because usually with what she usually does is like, when she's got something to say, it's like everyone's ears have got to be on. We all listen, right? We're all there listening. And then, right, when it's my turn, stop laughing, Donna. When it's my turn, like she laughs stuff off. She says, "Oh yeah, it's okay." So I'd have to say, "No, hang on a minute. This is serious. I need you to listen." So I've got to grab her attention, literally grab her attention, and say, "No, you need to listen to this, because what I'm telling you is that," and I'll say to her things like, I'm trying to help you communicate with you. I said, this is me communicating, you know, rather than you run off and saying, oh, but you don't talk to me. I say, this is it. You need to listen. So, you know, and everything, we have different ways of working with our partners and our surroundings and people. But as you said, Mason, that's how I sort of like get people's attention. I say, no, I'm being serious, because everyone says, oh, Mike, you're so laid back, you're so calm, and say, oh, I could never see you getting angry. And I said, don't be silly, I'm a human being, of course I get angry, but I said, oh, I can never see it. I said, well, if you carry on, you'll see it, but it's fine. Right now, you're in a good place and you need to stay there. But I want to be real with people, because they think, oh, you're so, but no, I'm not. I'm a normal person. I will get angry, I will get upset. And one of the things that gets me upset is when people don't listen to me. And Joe knows this now, because it's learned over those years. So when I say, Joe, I need to tell you something, she's like, okay, sure.
Oh. Just whilst he's gone, I was just about to say, whilst we laughed at that.
Yeah. Oh, sorry about that.
Okay. It's okay.
That was my wife. That was actually Joe ringing me. I had to sort of cut her off. I'm really sorry.
You're right.
I'll tell her later what she's done to the. You have to edit it out, but yeah, it really is about knowing when and where, as you said, Mason, to speak and what to say. Say, look, okay, yeah, this is the time and the place, and I need to tell you this, or I need to express this. So yeah, it's about trying to be your authentic self and getting people to accept that.
But you guys need to talk up and speak up more, because whilst I laughed at your comment, because that's what we do, and it has to stop. We do want to be heard, and we could be called nagging or what have you, and then when you want to speak, but again, it's about those communication styles and being assertive and saying it in the right way, in a kind way. But yeah, women do need to listen more to the men, especially when they do.
No, sorry to cut you. I couldn't agree more, Donna. It's well documented that women don't really have much space for men's emotions, because historically we haven't showed them, so we think that we don't own them. So it's like, oh, well, he's okay, he's a man, he's got it. So it is important for us to say when we are going through that. Again, I'm very fortunate to have a partner who once she can read me, what I do when I kind of, like many men, I retreat. I kind of just go inwards. I'm like, okay, well, life isn't great right now. There's this thing that I'm just trying to navigate. I go inwards, and she'll say to me, well, I can see you going inwards. There's something you want to speak about, or do you want space right now? Sometimes I'm like, yeah, I just need a bit of space for at least for today. Sometimes I'm like, yeah, sit down. I want to just share this with you and let me know what you think. So it is important to have a partner as well that you can read. And Michael, you said something earlier on about, I think you said about the dating sort of world, is it going to be too emotional? Is it going to be, there's somebody for everyone. There's somebody for everyone. I've got female friends that they say, my men aren't, like, they don't tell me what, they want a man to say, this is where we're going for dinner, wear that beautiful dress, I like you. They miss that, where you got someone that goes, no, I don't want no man to tell me what to do. I don't want that. So it is a dance. So again, as an individual, it's like you've got to think about who you're right for, who's the match, rather than just try and fit in somebody else's box.
But it's if you're coming with that preconception. So if a man mentions to do something like this, it's just like, oh, hold on a second, I've got to be careful. He could be one of those. No, it's a partnership. You make a decision, I make a decision. Men like it when women say what we mean, instead of going, yeah, I'm fine. And then 5 hours later, I'm in a foul mood and I take it out on you. That's bullshit. You've got to stop those games, and they are games.
Yeah, no, I'm just agreeing with you, Donna. Yeah, I am totally agreeing with that. I say that. I think it's the landscape is changing. The emotional landscape is changing for men, and I think we are, starting to navigate it. I think we're doing okay. We just need a bit more support. And as you were saying, we agreed about women learning to listen more, and just learning about each other. As you were saying, Mason, that your partner is able to read you, and that's through over time getting to know you. And relationships, I don't know. Relationships these days, they're so they're fragile. People don't want to seem to invest in them. I don't know. Maybe that's just me, man. Maybe I'm really old-fashioned. I'm old and old-fashioned, but people don't want to invest anymore. And if if you're not going to be invested in something, and Joe and I talk about this, she'll say, "Look, I'm really invested in this relationship." I say, "Yeah, I am as well." So we kind of like affirm what's going on. Even though there's ups and downs, but like the sort of foundation and the bedrock is that we're both invested. So yes, there'll be like really bad times and really good times. But underpinning all of that is that we're not going anywhere, unless something really stupid happens. But, and again, it's being able to build that ability to be able to work things out, to actually sit down and talk and communicate and say, yeah, what I did was wrong. I was actually wrong about that, and we can work it out. And, let's do this together. It's a difficult patch we're going through, but let's go through it together. So yeah, you need to be invested. And as a man, you need to be able to understand about committing and being invested. It's not just like, oh yeah, everything's fine now. It's a fair weather relationship. That's not investing. And I don't think that shows your masculinity and your commitment to a relationship or to yourself. Stop being honest to yourself. But that's just me talking.
Can I ask you both a question? Because I'm interested to hear it from your perspective. Is part of the reason why men may find it difficult to articulate their emotions an underlying fear of rejection or not good enough?
I don't know. I can't speak for many men, but I do know that I don't think it's just men in this, but I do think our emotional vocabulary could do with a bit of improving. We're usually just angry or sad or happy, where there's so many different layers beyond the anger. Like, for example, if you've had an argument with somebody at work and you're angry about it, you can go to the pub and have a beer and tomorrow, the next day. But if you're feeling lonely and worthless or got low self-esteem and that's making you frustrated, which causes anger, going to the pub for a beer after work isn't going to be the solution. So we really don't know how to articulate what we're feeling, because once we do have that vocabulary and are in a position to articulate how we're feeling, then we're in a better position to actually seek the proper steps in order to overcome whatever challenge that we're doing. So really, I do think it's more down to the vocabulary. It's so limited to how we speak about what we're feeling. We don't use words like rejection or shame or guilt, or it is angry, sad, and happy. Okay, we could improve in that way.
Broaden the vocabulary. Yeah.
Getting back to what you were saying, Donna, because you were talking about nothing about rejection, right? And it's very interesting because I was talking with some of my female colleagues at work about this very topic, and she gave us a little scenario about something that was happening to her. She was on her way home, and on her way home, usually and she sits by the bus stop, there's this guy that keeps wanting to chat her up, and she's basically told this person that she's not interested. It's like, it's like he's not her type, and she's just not interested. And she's actually said to him, "Look, I've got a boyfriend," which is not true, but she's just trying to get rid of him, just to sort of stop him from approaching her, and he just wouldn't stop. To the point where she just had to sort of change the bus stop that she goes to because he's constantly waiting for her. So in a way, yes, I think the rejection thing is still part of that masculinity, maybe the fear of masculinity, because want to be accepted. I'm a man, and why don't you like me, sort of thing. But on the other side of that is the acceptance. It's the acceptance that just because you might be God's gift, you might not be that person's type. And it's like being able to accept that as part of the way that the world is. It's part of the makeup of it. So you could be fantastic and wonderful, but somebody just might not like you. And it's just like, you need to accept that. That's just the way it is. That person doesn't like you. So stop. But what was really interesting, she said they just kept, on and on, and they wouldn't stop. They wouldn't accept the fact that I'm just not interested. And for me, that is the sort of the dangerous stereotype of masculinity, because when that keeps happening to women, there's this negative image built up, thinking, all right, is this going to happen again? Am I going to, but obviously each each encounter is individual. I'm just talking on, but generally how people can feel or how it could make somebody feel. So, you know, that ability to accept that it's not always going to be, you're not always going to be the flavor of the month, is part of being, you know, part of growing up, being part of being mature, part of being a man, accepting that. But there are still some, and I mean, that's pockets. I'm not saying that's everybody, but that sort of thinking still out there as well. So as I said, we're still on that curve, that really big curve on the motorway. We haven't come off into the straight yet. We are still literally on that curve, that changing.
Well, the reason why I mentioned it is because of that rejection of, you know, a lot of times fathers and sons, that bonding, and you know, don't cry, be a man, man up, and all this lot. So that having that in the back of your mind of, if I do show emotion, is there going to be some form of rejection, whether it's from father figures, partners, and opening up. If you're going to be open and vulnerable, having that trust as well, especially with your partners, that they're not going to go off and talk on a coffee morning or, oh yeah, so-and-so was crying or was really emotional, you know, sharing those details.
I don't think it's so much rejection, it's more judgment. If you look at everything, like everything boils down to a fear of judgment, absolutely everything, with men not sharing how they feel when they feel it, because in their head it means something. If I say this, they're going to see me in this light. You know, even before it even gets to rejection, like some people would rather be rejected and go out on their shield rather than be judged. You know, if somebody got rejected and said, oh yeah, he's good looking, I like everything about it, but I'm rejecting him because I've got a partner, rather than, no, he's not good looking, he's not my type. People would rather be rejected than judged. You know, so every human that doesn't want to share how they're feeling, it will be because there's a fear of judgment. And fear energetically is the lowest because it causes us to really act and react in ways that do us no favors. Fear of judgment, fear in its entirety is a killer. You know, so it's about being able to have more trust again in themselves and what they need for themselves in order to conquer that fear. So to answer your question, I'd say it's judgment more than rejection.
Okay, well, that's interesting.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah. So, right, okay, both of you are strong guys and you're not afraid to open up and you know, share your emotions. And there's a time and a place, obviously. So for those that realize that there is a disconnect, that they just can't, what can they do? Who can they surround themselves with? Well, you know, what were your first steps into this arena?
Okay, for me, my first steps was removing myself from the environment that wasn't doing me any favors. You can do all the work on yourself as you want, but if you get back in the same environment, it can be futile. Again, we act and react in certain ways, especially we respond to the environments that we're in, and not too dissimilar from nature. We're products of our environment, right? But the difference is, our environments don't help us grow and flourish like nature. It doesn't work in symbiosis in order for us to feel safe and be able to communicate. So for my truth was to remove myself from the environment that was holding me down so that I could really actually understand how I was feeling. Then I actually worked with a coach, which again, we're a therapist first, hypnotherapist, then a coach. So I knew that I needed help, and it's weird because it wasn't I'd never spoken to anyone about it. I hadn't known any friends that had worked with therapists. I just remember one day being on a sofa and Googling therapists near me, and that was everything. So there must have been an inner need that I actually just knew that I needed to. So whatever that calling was, I'm very grateful for it. But sorry, I've forgotten the original question.
Oh God, metaphorical. Don't ask me.
yeah, it was about. I
yeah, what
remember.
were your steps moving forward in
Yeah, I
this
remember.
arena?
Like, what would you
Yeah.
say to someone? It's sort of like, okay, so we're usually feeling a certain way because of our environment. There's something happening
Yeah.
in our environment that's not making us feel good about life or about ourselves. If you can remove yourself from that environment, I would always encourage somebody to do that. But if they can't, I'd get them to inquire what is it they don't like about it and what can they change, because often people will say, I can't change it. Within 2 seconds, I can blow that myth out the water. We can change absolutely everything. Sometimes there's no easy way, which people need to wrap their heads around. Like, we always try and look for an easy way when sometimes there isn't one. But when we actually make peace with whatever decision I make is going to be difficult, it kind of prepares you for doing that hard thing. And when you do the hard thing, that just builds up your resilience. I've never seen somebody make a hard decision and regret it afterwards. They're like, wow, I actually done that. You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I was going to say I agree with Mason's answer. It's about, and I think this is a really hard thing for men to do, especially if you're associated and you've got groups and you've got your clans or you've got your tribes and stuff, to step away and say, yeah, you're a great bunch of mates, but you can't help me right now. I need a different level of help, and it's not here. And making that decision and making that step, as working with some of the men I'm working with now at the charity, that's the hardest thing, as you say, Mason. But once they make that step and say, I need help, I'm coming in here because I need to talk to a professional, they see the results of it. But when all of your life has been within groups, and you've been gangs, you've been maybe the life and soul of the party. So, stereotypical phrase, I know, but if you're like the number one person, for you to step away and say, I'm not going to be around, lads, I'm off to get some help. It's like, what? It's like, that's a massive, major thing to do. You may do it in silence on your own, or you may actually maybe decide to announce it and just say, however that step is made, at some point you'll realize it has to be made, because what happens is that, as I was saying to some of the men I'm working with, is that you're going to end up, your life will be one event after the other. So you'll go from one event or one incident to the next incident to the next incident to the next accident to the next, and you think, is this my life? And it's not, but you're making it like that because you're not pausing, you're not stopping, you're not thinking, hang on a minute, something needs to change, and like the thing that needs to change is me. And I've got to take the action. So at the end of the day, it comes back to you. It comes back and back. No matter how long that road is, it will backtrack to you. And there will come a point or an event or a time or something's going to happen, and you will realize that, hang on a minute, I've got to really take this seriously. And when that happens, when that person gets that self-motivation, or they have that event, that's the beginning of the change. But it doesn't, it's got to be that something internal has to happen. It's not going to be from external. It's something that happens inside you. You realize that this isn't working.
But you've got to have that alignment as well with regards to, is it external? Because you could be working on yourself and healing, but if your environment and the people in your environment or your workplace or neighborhood or what have you, all the work that you're doing is it's like 2 steps forwards, 1 step back, so I think you've got to open your eyes and be aware and say, you know what, I may have to make some drastic changes here. This happened to me. I started to get my first panic attack in December this year. I started to go downhill and I had to take a hard look. So I've left Dubai and I've moved to a Northern Emirate. I realized I have to get away from this environment. So, and that's what I'm saying. So whilst you're doing the inner work, also look, is that environment supporting your growth? Because you will change.
For sure.
Yeah.
I heard a quote not too long ago. It says, many men don't realize they're breaking until they're broken. And this is true. We've got such a, no, I'm all right. No, I'm all right. That is the breed. And afterwards it's like, damn. And what I've found with the men that I work with and the type of clients that I work with is, what's hard is when their environment from outside in is picture perfect. It's what society says you should have. Got a family that love you, yeah, got a nice house, good job, good work hours, yeah, and there's still something missing. That is when that is what can send a lot of people really down, because they don't have an enemy, a devil that they're actually facing. Like, everything's good and I still don't feel crap. That's when, of course, the spiritual coaching comes into it. It's being able to recognize what you need. Who are you past your labels? I've done a day retreat the other day that tried to get all these people, and they're all quite successful in their respective fields, to say, okay, well, take away your name, your age, your occupation, your whatever, take all that away, and who's left? That's who we're protecting. We're protecting these identities. We're protecting these, I'm a CEO, so I have to be this way in all my life. It's like, no, you don't. And once people are able to, especially men, are able to actually shed that and actually learn how to have a deeper connection with themselves, everything else is more enjoyable. But I'm going a bit away from the original question. But
no, that's all right. That's the whole point.
Yeah.
This is why it's an open conversation. It's really important that you mention these things, because you are going to resonate with somebody who, and it's that light bulb moment where they will maybe reach out to one of you both, or look for a support group in their neighborhoods. So that's the first step. Or even sit down with a friend or a partner and say, you know what? I know I said I'm struggling, but I'm really struggling.
Yeah. No, but just connecting with some of the things that you said, Mason, that's my message, is to let people know that they are not their jobs. They are not their jobs. And I really like that point about taking away the titles. And what I try to, tell everyone as well, but particularly men, is that, you need to make your well-being a non-negotiable priority. And that's my basically underlying pin about everything I do. You need to understand that if you're not whole, as a person, forget about what you do. I don't care what you do. You could be the best at what you do. You could be the number one person in the world. If you're not emotionally, physically, and spiritually well, it's of no use. You can't function as a person without all of that. It's of no use. No matter how good you are, at the end of the day, if you're ill, mentally, physically, and spiritually ill, game over. All right, no, and I will dispute that with anybody till the cows come home. I don't care who you are. You go, because I know I'm right. I won't rub it in your face, but I know I'm right, so I'll say there or not. I'm fine. I'm fine. I know that, and they when after a certain amount of time of having that conversation, they do get there. They think, "Oh, you're right." I said, "I know I'm right." I'm trying to get you to see this. Your family, all of that means much more than your job. You're not your job. You are not your job. Your job can go tomorrow. You could lose your job tomorrow.
And that title,
what have you got left?
That title will be there for somebody else.
Absolutely. So, absolutely. That's not it. That's not what it's about.
No. Look, guys, before we drop off, usually I ask you for some bombshell wisdom bombs. You can still do it if you've got something to share. But what I would love to know is how people can reach out to you. I know you do stuff in Bristol, Michael, and Mason, this is not going to be aired until August. So if you've got something from middle after August, or can they join your men's group in Bali, or is that just really purely for in-person people that live in?
They're a bit of a commute. They're more than welcome to come to Bali to our main group every other Thursday evening. But it's no, I am going to launch another men's program in September called "Your Pain Is Your Power." So that's coming up, and I'm looking forward to launching that. That's going to be an online program.
Oh, fantastic. Well, give me the stuff, and when I add this, we can put it in there as well so people will know and connect. Awesome.
And of course, the path, which is Dubai to Bali retreats, that's going to be launching as well. So maybe there might be some men in Dubai that pick this up and would like to get away, get into nature, which does the heavy lifting for us, because Dubai, of course, doesn't have much nature to enjoy.
We're getting there. Well, I will be chasing you up for those links, okay? And I will chase you.
Yeah, please do.
So no, that's great. Thank you. And Michael, what have you got coming up for you?
Yeah, well, I think you've seen the post on LinkedIn, Donna. This Thursday, actually, we've got Black Men Talk Health. The topic is stress. It's on Thursday, the 20th, and it's open to men and
Michael,
women.
it's
What?
not going to be. This is going to be aired in April.
Oh, right. Oh, in August. Oh, sorry. Well, we'll still be doing them actually. They're every other month. So yeah, just look out.
Great.
Yeah, check out on LinkedIn. They'll always be posted there. And our Raw Talk drop-in sessions in Bristol, again, they'll be posted on social media. So we'll be doing those on a sort of bi-monthly basis as well. But yeah, so if in the Bristol area.
Is that an online thing or just in person?
The Raw Talk is in person, but Black Men Talk Health is actually online, Mason. So if you go to my LinkedIn, you'll see the links there. And if you're available, yeah, check it out. Yeah,
I will do for sure.
Fantastic. It'd be good to have you on there, actually.
Yeah, just let me know.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll definitely be available for that.
Fantastic.
I feel like a matchmaker. Singing something from Fiddler on the Roof or something there. See, I'm showing my age. All right, guys. On
fantastic.
that note, I will thank you both so very much for. I think we could have talked for much longer, and I would love to have you both on again at some point if you are open to it, or you've got something that you want to share and it's going to help and support men as well. So if anybody wants to reach out afterwards, I post this on my LinkedIn, YouTube channel, Facebook, and Instagram. And Michael and Mason will be tagged as well, and there'll be information. So please leave a message in the comment section or reach out to them. I'm sure they'll be more than happy to support you with, where to find help or even work with them. So there you go. All right, guys. Thank you again very, very much. And I hope everybody has a really good evening. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Donna. Mason, great meeting you. Fantastic. Take care.